everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge. Now, as you know, Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge is a 2020 direct-to-video adult animated film that is meant to pretty much be covering how Scorpion came to be, as well as covering the Mortal Kombat tournament. And this is actually the first time in years that there's been another animated Mortal Kombat project after Defenders of the Realm, which was more kid-friendly. Now, the premise of the story is meant to be about Hanzo Asashi and his young son Satoshi after going on a hike and returning back to their clan, which has been massacred by the Lin Kuei, and after being murdered and sent to Netherrealm, ends up with Hanzo Asashi becoming Scorpion and being asked by Quan Chi to find a certain item that will bring back Shinnok. Now, with the film itself, I think what it does well at the opening is that it covers the kind of Scorpion referencing what Hanzo Asashi is going to be, and the ants are meant to represent the kind of demons and enemies that Scorpion will eventually face. So, in pretty much that covers the Mortal Kombat tournament, you have Raiden and pretty much Liu Kang, as well as Sonya and Johnny Cage, ending up to the basically Mortal Kombat tournament. And what's interesting is each character has a reason for going. Like, Liu Kang basically preparing to kind of defeat Goro to save Earthrealm, Sonya to kind of save Jax, and Johnny Cage, who is kind of this deadbeat loser, and sees this, and pretty much like the movie, is kind of meant to believe that this tournament is meant to be like this big film, and has no clue about what's going on. And you can kind of tell he doesn't realise this at first, but I think after basically witnessing everything else, he starts to kind of realise it. Now, throughout the film is that it's basically meant to be a similar version to the first Mortal Kombat film, with some slight differences. For example, Jax being more involved than what the first film was. Also, you basically got Katana playing a more minor role, and this time voiced by Grey DeLisle, who was originally meant to be the voice for Katana back in Mortal Kombat X, but due to her pregnancy at the time, had to give up the role, and instead the voice actress for Mortal Kombat 9 returned. And pretty much throughout the film, it does go a bit over the top with the violence, I would say it takes inspiration from Samurai Jack's last season, as well as Primal, and when it does the X-ray shots, I think it does that as a reference to the game, and as well is that what's interesting is characters like Sonya, Scorpion, Reptile, Katana, Jax, and Liu Kang are based on their Mortal Kombat X designs. Katana showing what she would have been like had she been restored to normal, same with Liu Kang, and so on. And pretty much what's interesting is, unlike Defenders of the Realm, that is a bit more cartoonish, and a bit more not knowing what the plot is, I think Scorpion's Revenge is meant to cover Scorpion finding his true place, as well as learning that vengeance wasn't meant to bring things back. And I do admit some of the voice cast isn't too bad. I do think Patrick Zoltz does a great job as Scorpion again after Mortal Kombat X, and I still think some of the newer voices like Jordan Rodriguez does a great job as Liu Kang, and I think Julia Carpenter is a better Sonya than the one in Mortal Kombat 11. That I do agree with Phileas, and I also do agree with him that, yeah, Joe McHale, who also played Rex and Ted, actually does a great job in playing Johnny Cage. And what's actually interesting is Kevin Michael Richardson also does return for Goro. And in Shang Tsung's flashback, you do see him based on his Mortal Kombat 3 design that made him look a bit like something from Kiss. And I also do admit that they do kind of add in other races, other characters like Motaro. You also got Naitira, who shows up when Johnny Cage is having a meal. And I think they could have got Nika Featherman, or could have easily have got basically Jennifer Hale. It could have been an interesting idea. And I do admit, despite the movie copying the first film, it does try to balance this out perfectly, and it does imply at the end we may get a kind of sequel based on Mortal Kombat 2 and 3, and there has been talks about it from Jeremy Adams, which I'm hoping to see. So I think somewhere Scorpion's Revenge lifted out the kind of metal blade, shouted "get over here," and left it great. So I think it deserves a thumbs up. Still good and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.